What's up, everybody? As promised, I'm going to show you every key addition and departure for every single team worth knowing in this offseason. A lot has happened since the Super Bowl till now, and you're going to want to catch up on everything that's happened across each division, across all of football. I'm going to show you every signing here, starting with the NFC West in this video. If you enjoy this content, give it a like. If you want to keep seeing these offseason moves in addition to the other videos I'm posting during and throughout the season, definitely give this channel a subscription. You're going to want to get all of this content so you're up to date on everything, all NFL news. Starting with the Rams in the NFC West, obviously Super Bowl winner, 12-5 last year, first in their division last year, had a really good offseason, in my opinion. Did a lot of spending, which the Rams seem to always do somehow with the deep pockets they have. They really run this football team like a football team and not a business. They care more about winning than they do dollars, which I love. They spend a lot of money bringing back a lot of the key talent that helped them win, like Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, but some huge signings outside of the existing team last year. Allen Robinson, great wide receiver that hasn't really performed in the past few years for the Bears, partially due to effort on his part. But this guy's going to be replacing Odell Beckham as he tore his ACL and probably not going to end up back in the Rams after this season. And then Bobby Wagner, who, if you watched my other video, was the biggest signings that the Rams had this offseason. One of the best linebackers in football for the longest time, still a top 5 linebacker in the game, and a very cerebral linebacker at that. The Rams on defense already have great players like Donald, who you see got an extension, and Jalen Ramsey. Adding Bobby Wagner in that linebacker segment of that defense takes it to a whole nother level. And then Troy Hill at safety, they traded for him back from Cleveland. This Troy Hill at safety was the player running the defense when they had the number one defense in the league. So getting him back, he's definitely familiar with the system, the personnel, and the schemes they have in LA. Great trade for the Rams. They're getting Troy Hill back in a position that he's going to be comfortable in and helping this defense get back to the glory that it once was. Key departures, some guys here and there, but the big ones are a wide receiver, obviously losing Robert Woods and Odell, like I mentioned. Having and re-signing Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson kind of mitigates that. Losing Whitworth, who is a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, and then Corbett kind of weakens his offensive line a little bit. Maybe one of the areas of concern that I have for this Rams team, but that's really about it. It'll be interesting to see how this offensive line fares without these players. And then at linebacker, losing Von Miller especially is going to be interesting. What it was the scariest defensive line of football got a little bit less scary with Von Miller heading to Buffalo. But obviously, you get Aaron Donald on any given D line. He's still going to wreak havoc. And then Floyd on the other end, who's a little bit more of a speed guy, will pick up some of the slack in Miller's absence. So all around, really good offseason, I thought, for the Rams. A little bit of downgrade at the DM position and then their offensive line, but all in all, give them a B plus for this offseason. And I think the Rams got better this year. But it's really hard to repeat as Super Bowl champions. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do. Moving on to the team that finished second in the NFC West last season are the Cardinals. They lost in the wild card round last year. I didn't love what they did this offseason. They big signing with Kyler Murray. They did lose the first few games of the year. DeAndre Hopkins to suspension. I would have liked to see them make a little bit bigger moves in free agency in the trade market. They did get Marquise Brown. They traded him from Baltimore. I like him. Good deep threat, vertical wide receiver, but not really what I thought this offense needed given the depth they have at wide receiver when Hopkins is playing. I like the AJ Green re-sign again, especially in the absence of Hopkins, and then Ertz at tight end. One of the more sure-handed pass catchers at tight end. What I really liked that they did is this Hernandez offensive guard signing. Offensive line has been a key issue for the Cardinals for way too long. Kyler Murray, especially given his size, has been taking way too many hits at quarterback due to the ineptness and lack of skill at the offensive line position. Anything that the Cardinals can do to bolster this front and the offense is good. So I like that signing. But a few really key departures here. Chase Edmonds, who was not a huge departure given the fact that James Conner stepped up so much last season. Losing Christian Kirk, huge contract there for the Jaguars, makes this wide receiving core a little bit more thin, especially with the suspension of Hopkins. And then Chandler Jones and Hicks at linebacker leaves a little bit more holes in this defense than would be than is desired. No first round draft picks for the Cardinals, and then in a division that is so competitive, given what the Rams are doing and what the Niners are doing. I would like to see a lot more out of the Cardinals. I just don't think this team is built to win the division and make a playoff run. And I don't think the management really did anything to change that. So C plus, slightly above average for these guys, but really nothing flashy for the Cardinals. For the 49ers, they had a few things they needed to do, but I don't and they did do in the offseason, but I don't really think the Niners had to make too many huge offseason moves to become a contender in the AFC, in the NFC, and in the NFL in general. I really think this team is just a quarterback away from being a large contender, and they made the right move in drafting a quarterback high in the draft a couple years ago with Trey Lance. It's just going to be, can this guy perform? Ray McLeod and Deebo Samuel, especially at wide receiver, are going to help this passing attack, and Deebo being a hybrid running back as well. Niners with their offensive line and run game always have the best rushing attack in football. I expect it to be the same this year, which is certainly going to help Trey Lance kind of level the expectations of him in the passing attack. But on the defense side of the football, some pretty good signings here, but I love the Charvarius Ward. Again, if you watch my video, this is my favorite signing for the 49ers this offseason. The 49ers in their front seven is spectacular. A few key losses in the secondary leave them a little bit vulnerable. Charvarius Ward, one of the better cornerbacks in the AFC, coming over from the Chiefs. I think that fills a lot of the holes that they had in that secondary, and that's certainly going to help them. For the departures, Raheem Mostert, running back, leaving might be an issue, but it seems like whoever really lines up at running back for the 49ers excels. But a lot of guys in their offensive line leaving, which makes them a little more vulnerable and a little bit uncharacteristic of the Niners. Like I said, always one of the top offensive line units in the NFL. They still keep Trent Williams, who is the best left tackle in the game. That is certainly going to bolster this offensive line and keep them solid, no matter who the other four linemen are in this offense. But losing those guys is definitely a sore spot for this Niners team. And then Kwan Williams at Norman, who's washed up at cornerback, but still a good coverage in zone cornerback. Losing those guys is going to hurt this defense a little bit. But again, that risk is mitigated by the Ward signing. So not a bad offseason by the Niners, not an offseason where they had to do too much, in my opinion. It's just all going to rest upon, can Trey Lance step up and be that guy and take this team that's very balanced, very well-rounded, and can take them to the next level, given all the talent they have across the board. And then, honestly, probably the best offseason in the NFC West for the Seahawks, not like it really matters for them, as this team is in just about a pure rebuild mode after losing Russell Wilson. That being said, they got Drew Lock, who will be their quarterback for the interim in the meantime. But Marquise Goodwin's good wide receiver that's going to pair with Metcalf and Lockett there. That'll be a good option for Lock. Noah Fant, very good tight end, receiving tight end. Any quarterback outside of any quarterback better than Drew Lock steps in this offensive football, and they have a lot of weapons that the quarterback can throw to. It just so happens that they're in a complete rebuild and really don't have that much talent at quarterback. Seems like Drew Lock has been getting a lot of shade thrown at him lately, and I guess I'm part of that now. But he's definitely not the answer here in Seattle. On the defense side of the football, a lot of big signings. I thought I love the Quandre Diggs re-sign, one of my favorite safeties in football. And then I'm just not going to attempt this name. I don't want to do him any disrespect, but getting another good linebacker too after the departure of Bobby Wagner was big. And then another team like the Seahawks that has struggled with the offensive line. It's good that they're going out in the draft and getting offensive linemen early on. You see Charles Cross at the 9th pick out of Miss State. Going to be a good addition to this team. As this team rebuilds, he'll be a big part of that throughout the years. So that's good for them. They got rid of Russell Wilson, key departure, obviously, but for the haul they got for him, I think it was the right move. Everyone knew it was about time for Wilson to leave Seattle, so at least the Seahawks did the smart thing and got something for him. Losing Bobby Wagner hurts, as he's one of the best linebackers in the game. He's been a core on the Seahawks for just about as long as they've been dominant in Wilson's time there. And then DJ Reed, a cornerback, losing him, leaving the secondary a little thin. Seahawks, their expectations this year for myself and just about everyone around the league are pretty low. Like I said, good rebuild, solid rebuild this year. Got a lot of talent that they can start to build from the ground up with. And, this is a team that went 7-10 last year, despite how bad they were. They're going to do definitely worse this season, but I think they made a lot of moves to help this team improve in the years to come. So that's it for the NFC West. Going to do one of these videos for each of the divisions of football. It's a lot of content packed into each video, so I want to spread out division by division. But keep an eye out for the next offseason signings and departures video. And keep watching these. If you enjoyed it, give the thumbs up. Subscribe so you can keep seeing these videos on a daily, weekly basis. And you can be up to date in all things NFL. All right. Thanks, guys.